You know what's funny? In my 25 years of doing real estate, I don't think I've ever walked in a house where the seller said, Riley, you know what? I know I have too much stuff. This just never happens. So let's talk about that. And then you know what? It's not the things you would think. It's not the messy stuff. There's just so many little things that to a homeowner have become part of the wallpaper. They've become part of the furniture. They've become part of their daily lives that they can't possibly see what we're talking about when we ask them to take them away. For them, this is the fiber, the being, the soul of their home. And it's a really hard thing for sellers to understand that probably that buyer is going to open the door and absolutely run unless we do some serious decluttering. While we're sitting here in summer and before we get back to the busy fall season, I thought it'd be a great time for me to give you a checklist if you're thinking about selling of things you probably should start working on now to pare down what's in your home. So let's get into it. I'm Riley Smith and I sell real estate here in South Florida. I've been doing it for almost 25 years. And one of the very common things that I see when I work with sellers, which is my primary business, is really helping them navigate how to get their house ready to present it to a buyer in the best light to help them sell it as fast as possible for the most amount of money. This is something that I have spent years perfecting, and we're going to dive into it right now, and I'm going to let you know all my secrets. So the first thing that I'm dealing with when I walk in the house is honestly you. It has nothing to do with the house. When I talk to a seller about getting their house ready, there's something that always seems to happen. So many sellers think there are certain things in their house that have been there forever that are a necessity and they're going to help sell the house for the most amount of money. This is where we have our hardest challenge, trying to walk them back from that and show them what the reality is. I have shown thousands of homes to hundreds of buyers. I've collected a whole laundry list of comments and things that I have seen from the buyer perspective when they walk into a home. So let's just talk about some of the things that we have to get into the seller's mind so that we can get the house looking just perfect for that showing. This is not about coming in and doing a total stage and redoing the entire house. That's not what we're talking about here today. Today we're just talking about getting it ready for a regular, everyday Wednesday showing or an open house. There are so many little things that the seller can do to help this process, but quite often they don't realize it or don't even see it because they've been living there so long. When a buyer walks in the house, they want to be able to see how to live in the house. What they don't want to sit there and get distracted by all of your personal things. Now, you may love little gnomes or little mushrooms or little butterflies and have collected thousands of them from around the world. Or you may, and you absolutely do, love your family and think they're the most amazing things in the world. But buyers don't need to spend a lot of time looking on your countertops, looking in your shelves, and staring at portraits of all of your family members. They get distracted by how you have lived in the house and the history of what's going on in the house that all of these momentums tell you. And they also make the house feel very cluttered. So it is a challenge for us to help people understand that taking down their family photos, taking down their little collectibles and tchotchkes and all these things, and letting the space shine is really in their best interest. But once we've gotten to that point and once we get the seller there, I can always see in the seller's eyes, they understand what we're talking about. The place feels bigger, it feels brighter, it's less distracting to the buyer. So that's the first place we have to start. Then there's other things. Almost everybody in South Florida has their pets. God knows we love dogs and all pets down here in South Florida. But when we're getting ready to show a home, so often the pets are big problems. Quite often they don't want to take them out of the house. I'll just lock them in the room. I'll put them in a cage. The dog is barking insistently. The cats are running all over the place. And then of course there's the smell of your pet. So we have to think about what is the strategy with the pets. Really, we need you, the owner, yes, you, and your pets to be gone for the showing. This is really important. We can't worry about the door being left open and your precious cat running away forever. We can't have dogs barking. We can't have rooms that we can't show. So this is sometimes hard for people to understand, but buyers, they get intimidated by these things and they get turned off by pet smells. There are a lot of people in the world that don't love cats, don't love dogs, don't like the smell that they come with. Then there's, of course, that weird, creepy aquarium that's been sitting in your house way too long, and you are the only one that doesn't know it smells. Yes, those things smell. In my opinion, unless you have an amazing aquarium that's professionally done, maybe you have one in your son's room, your daughter's room that's been sitting there forever, probably a good idea to get rid of that thing. It smells and it's a big distraction more than you ever believe. So these are just some of the things that we see. Of course, there's so many more little details that we can walk through, whether it's how you fluff the pillows or how you stage the dining room table, all of those things. But getting the house ready to be shown is something that really becomes an art form and something that we can quickly educate you, the seller, on how to do every day. A conversation I have with my sellers that sometimes doesn't land well is asking them, really not even asking them, insisting that they have to be gone from the house for the showing. What sellers don't understand is there's probably absolutely nothing that will make a buyer more uncomfortable. You could have a Rottweiler sitting there grilling, ready to eat them, and they would not be as uncomfortable as they would be with you, the seller, sitting there watching them wander through your house, thinking about where they're going to put their furniture and how they're going to live, which kid is going to get which room. Because what happens is, A, they feel very, very, very watched. They feel uncomfortable. They can't ask the right questions. They don't want to be there very long. Nobody likes somebody looking over their shoulder. So what I have seen when the seller insists on staying home is the showing is cut in half. There's no questions. There's no talking. They're afraid to open the closets, open the drawers, try the home on. They won't sit down in the living room and see how it feels. There's so many things that are natural to the home buying process and to buyers trying to acclimate to your house that cannot happen when you, the seller, is standing there looking over their shoulder. And then there's the other seller. It's bad enough when we have the sellers that like to sit in the corner and just watch everything. But then we have the seller that likes to tag along and make sure they tell us every single thing in the house that they did to the house, everything that is their favorite thing, every little thing we may not have noticed. This seller is impossible. So we are not going to let you be either one of these sellers. You have to really have the mind frame. I'm going to give my house to the professional. They're going to take care of it. They're going to show it well. They're going to do the right thing. Especially here at RSG, we have shown tens of thousands of houses. We know how to shine. We know how to make the house look its absolute best. We know the talking points, so you have to trust us as a seller that we know what we're doing. And yes, 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 you have to get out of the house. Now let's talk about what stays and what goes in the home. And this is where a lot of people get tripped up all the time. Now here in South Florida, when we sell real estate, as a home seller, you need to understand what is going to stay and be passed on to a new buyer and what is it okay for you to take out of the house. The standard is this: anything bolted to the wall, shelving, furniture, things like that, all stays. Appliances, all stays. Fans, light fixtures, window treatments. These are all things that in the contract say they convey to the new buyer. Here's where we get tripped up a lot. There's sellers out there that they love that one chandelier, or they can't live with leaving their drapes behind, or this fan is their special fan, makes the right noise to put them to bed, whatever is going on. If there are things in the house that you are not going to pass on to the new buyer, that are part of the landscape, that have been bolted in, that are attached, we need to spend some time taking them out of the house, replacing them. That fancy chandelier, although it looks beautiful, if you leave it there, there's going to be, sure as I'm standing here, a buyer that's not going to buy the house without it. And I have seen so many deals die fighting over chandeliers, fighting over some furniture, fighting over draperies, the simplest thing. So it's my advice is if there's things in the house that are supposed to convey, you need to take them out so that nobody even sees them. They never know they're there. The house will still sell without that perfect chandelier. We can get a replacement chandelier. We can have no chandelier. This definitely comes into play a lot in some of the older homes that we see and that we sell in Coconut Grove, Coral Gable, and the surrounding areas. The houses have character. The built-ins have character. They've got all kinds of special light features that have been passed down either from family to family or have been with the house forever. So this is where it gets really, really tricky, and sometimes it's very sentimental. And I've seen husbands and wives and partners fight over what they want to take and what they want to leave. Again, I've seen contracts lost because of it. So helping navigate that, especially in some of these older homes that have all this character and charm, it is really a difficult task, but it's something we've done many times before. Now let's talk about something that happens before we start showing the property, but is equally important. That's getting the house ready for photos. Now this is something that I have seen. You have not even imagined the things that I have seen in my 25 years as we go to someone's house and get ready to try to help them shine and show the house in the best light. There's so many little things that people don't understand that make the photos get tripped up and not look as good as possible. So let's talk about a lot of those little things. We start with the kitchen. When we shoot a house, if you look at our listings, we want that kitchen empty. We don't care if it's your special flower pot, your special coffee maker, your special blender, or whatever else that you love in the kitchen. The emptier your kitchen is, the cleaner, the bigger, the nicer, the brighter it's going to come out in the photographs. We can jump into bathrooms. There are things that people don't understand. The towels, the mats, these things all don't look good in photographs. Again, we want it to be empty, bright, and open so we can show the space, so we can show the light, so we can show the size. So all these little things, whether it's just the wires or the thing in the pool, the little snake that's in the pool, these are things that homeowners don't think about, that us as realtors and when we bring in our professional photographers have spent a lifetime learning and understanding what are the tricks to make the house shine, and we'll help you navigate every bit of that. Oh, and don't let me forget the biggest mistake of all. We never want to shoot your house around the holidays. Nobody wants to look at Christmas decorations in March when your house is actually on the market. So let's remember that your house may take a while to get on the market. It may take a while to sell. So when we have all of those holidays, when we have Halloween, we have Thanksgiving, and we have Christmas, we need to navigate the timing around those holidays so that the house does not look like you're walking into a carnival. Now let's talk about some things that are very specific to us here in South Florida. There's some things that people sometimes don't think about that give the wrong impression to the buyer. Let's start number one with hurricane shutters. There are still a lot of homes that don't have impact windows, so they have hurricane shutters up. Quite often during hurricane season, the homeowner will put some shutters up on windows on the side of the yard, the back of the yard, that they don't see every day, and they think it's okay because they don't want to take them down, up, down whenever we have a hurricane. But nothing says danger more to a buyer than a house that has half its windows still shuttered. Never mind how terrible the natural light is. So of course, all hurricane shutters have to be stowed away, put away. Any sign of a hurricane, we don't want to see the sandbags. We don't want to hear the generator running. We don't want anything that's going to give the buyer the idea that, oh my God, my house might blow away in a hurricane. So let's think about that when we're getting the house ready. The other thing we need to think about is sometimes inside the house. It's never a good idea to have dehumidifiers running in your house. Immediately people are going to wonder what's going on in here. It's also not a good idea to have that extra air conditioning in a bedroom just because Johnny loves to sleep in the cold. It just tells people maybe your air conditioning system isn't working as well. The dehumidifier tells people maybe there's moisture, maybe there's mold or the potential for mold. So these are some of the little tricks that we need to navigate that are unique to us down here in South Florida. Let's talk about some of the things that a lot of sellers don't really think about. If you've been living in your house a long time, you surely have packed in more things in your house than your house ever was intended to have. And I'm talking about those closets you're afraid to open. You pull the door open and things jump out of the closet at you. The drawers you can barely open because they're too full. And the big tricky one is thinking that the garage is okay to be used as a storage locker. You go out there, you got these weird shelving things, nothing makes sense, nothing is organized, and quite often you couldn't even get a toy car in there, never mind a real car. Really, we'd ideally like to pare all that down. We like to thin out the closets so people can see how nice they are, how much they can accommodate. But if you have everything stuffed to the gills, it immediately tells a buyer, maybe there's not enough storage in this house for me. So we need to pare down these things, and we need to get away from using the garage as a storage locker. A garage is a garage. Let's make it look like a garage or as close to a garage as possible. Now, let's cover the outside of the house. When we go to sell, what is functional may not be beautiful. That beautiful boat of yours that you love that's parked on the side of the house, probably not a good idea to have the boat sitting right there. Having all the kids' toys thrown all over the place, maybe the yard not looking perfect. These are things that we have to think about because outside is where the first impression is. By the time they park the car and walk to the front door, a lot of buyers have already made up their mind whether they like or they don't like the house. And a lot of it is whether it's the maintenance of the house outside, and we can talk about that in another video, or like I'm talking about, do you have an old broken down playset that no one's ever been in? Do you have a tree house that hasn't been touched in 10 years? Do you have that boat parked or another car parked over there where the grass is growing over the wheels? It doesn't look like it's ever moved. Or do you have more kid stuff or dog stuff laying around the house than you could ever use? These are all things that we need to think about and take care of and treat the outside just like we treat the inside so that we can have a complete package when we show your home to potential buyers. While we're talking about outdoor spaces, let's talk about the back deck area and the pool. The pool is one a lot of people don't think about very often. They don't really seem to understand. When we have the pool fence up for showings, and I know this is a challenge, it really does diminish how people see themselves using the pool and enjoying the pool. So pool fences and pool covers are the number one thing, but that is also the hardest. Of course, if you have little kids, we're not going to compromise there. But some people have pool fences up, but they haven't touched in 20 years. So making sure the pool looks its best. The pool's got to be blue. The water's got to be moving. Ideally, we don't have the snake thing in there. And maybe if you have a little fountain, the fountain is working. You have the lights are on. These are all things that buyers quickly look at and just take for granted, but when it's not there or when something doesn't look right, they immediately have questions about the house. Also the deck. The deck needs to look like a place where you can enjoy yourself. Whether you're going to sit over here and get sun, the buyers imagine themselves sitting over here eating. So make sure your patio furniture matches everything else. Quite often I see people forget about patio furniture. We stick it outside, we leave it outside, and we know on the label it said weatherproof. Well, nothing is really weatherproof in South Florida. So quickly the cushions get moldy, they look dirty, stuff starts to rust. Some of those things haven't been moved in 20 years. Make sure you pay attention to the outside because in today's world, buyers are looking for indoor, outdoor living, and the outside is almost important as the inside. Here's the thing about these tips is that none of them are expensive and none of them take a lot of time. You can take a weekend and you can get your house in ship shape, ready for showings very, very easily. So please, don't be daunted by everything we've talked about. I've seen transformations happen overnight. It really, really is not a big deal. The look we're trying to go for is a look that will give the buyer the experience that they're looking for. They're looking to see themselves living in the house, not looking at how you live in the house. And that is a fine, delicate line. And that's a line I see a lot of for sale by owners, people who are trying to sell their houses themselves, who don't get professional help. They never get that line right. But we do this every day. We know exactly what the buyers are looking for. So this is something we can easily help you navigate. If you're thinking about listing your house and you just want a second set of eyes on the house, please, no hassle, no obligation, no nothing. Just call us. This is what we do every day. We would love to come out and give you a consultation, no strings attached, and just tell you our thoughts on how you can present your house in a better light. If you found this helpful at all, please hit like, please subscribe. We do one of these almost every week, and I'd love for you to hear our next one. Also, if you know anybody that thinks this video might work for them, please feel free to send it to them. We'd love to help them too. I'll see you on the next one.